When patch 2.5 was released in October, it brought some of the most significant changes to the game data we have seen in the form of Desecrated Treasure Classes. Thanks to the excellent detective work of Pavke and He Has No Wrong, the community uncovered a handful of bugs, most of which were tied to the new Desecrated groups, and surfaced these to PES radar. But it wasn't until a month later that the most crucial bug, and probably the biggest of them all, was overlooked. Hell Terrorized Mephisto drops were bugged. Let's dissect the previous issue. Up on screen is a snapshot of the current local client-side treasure class information for Mephisto across Normal, Nightmare, and Hell. On the left-hand side, you can see the defined Desecrated Treasure Classes to be used in the game, with the right-hand side showcasing the associated item groups that drops will source from. Looking at the green boxes, you will see that across Normal and Nightmare, it is properly treasure class group upgrading as Mephisto's monster level scales, enabling better loot. However, if you hone in on the bottom right within the red box, you will see that in Hell difficulty, as Mephisto monster level scales, every single loot drop was contained to only the Desecrated A cluster, which ultimately lowered the ceiling when power farming Hell Mephisto. Unfortunately, it was likely due to human error on Blizzard's end. This had been observed by a handful of players, causing many to avoid Hell Mephisto while he was terrorized. But Theory, why are you talking in the past tense? That is because something peculiar happened, causing us to theorize that Blizzard released a server-side silent patch fixing Hell Mephisto Terrorized drops. I put together a helpful chronological timeline of events to best demonstrate what is occurring. Back on October 7th, Season 2 officially launched with 2.5. Fast forward to November 15th, Pavke officially posted the community's discoveries to the public where PES Radar was tagged. 22 Nights of Terror was released shortly thereafter, which altered gameplay experiences every 24 hours. In the prior segment, I mentioned something peculiar, and this occurred on December 20th. My good friend Zax was power farming Hell Mephisto Terrorized when suddenly, he dropped a Tall Rasha's lacquered plate, which pulls down from Treasure Class 84. This was fascinating to the group as this contradicted the initial discovery, indicating a possible change. This is where we theorized that a server-side silent patch was deployed between November 15th when PES Radar was notified and December 13th when the 22 Nights of Terror went live. We are suggesting server-side only because the client-side TCEX tables still reflect the issue. My hunch and best educated guess is that Blizzard injected this during the 22 Nights of Terror since the gameplay mechanics were already being altered. To test this further, Zax and I both power farmed Hell Mephisto Terrorized over the past few weeks. Based off of these gameplay highlights, it would certainly seem to indicate that a server-side silent patch was definitely deployed, but we won't know with concrete evidence until we see 2.6 arrive and or an updated local client-side treasure class pulldown. Now, we should be able to collectively rejoice at this point and go back to power farming Hell Mephisto Terrorized with confidence. Now, what this ultimately means for you is that you will be able to finally push past the standard Treasure Class 78 loot table and scale all the way up to the maximum Treasure Class 87, being eligible to drop every set and unique item in the game, non-event of course. Now, there is one little fun nuance that I wanted to call out, which indicates the double plus on the screen at the Desecrated D level. That is because if you push Mephisto north of monster level 96 and you have the ability to roll and pull from the Desecrated D class, you'll actually see up here on screen that you pull down from the 87 group twice. So you have double the probability of getting the high-end loot Whereas the step below, at monster level 93, pulling from Desecrated C, well, yes, it does pull from 87, it only rolls once.